Hey folks, it's Matthew Lee here. In this video, what we're going to discuss, how to play live and how to get as much out of your playing as possible. For those of you that play live, you've got a number of cover tunes that you've got to know. And for this particular example, we're going to cover Should Have Been a Cowboy by Toby Keith. Super simple song, but I'm going to show you different ways that you can approach it to get a little bit more out of your playing, more mileage out of the rhythm that you're going to be playing predominantly through the entire tune. The entire tune only has 3 chords. We're in the key of G, and it's going to be G, D, and C. But it's the voicings is the most important part. This is the takeaway that I want you to get out of this lesson, is that it's what you're doing during not only intro, but the verses and the chorus, because you've got to play those chords over and over and over. How do you make them more exciting? How do you create a timeline that actually tells a little bit more in depth of a story? I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. So let's first and foremost cue up how I approach it kind of live. This is just an example. This is taken live from a cell phone, so it's not studio quality, but it's the way that I would approach things live, and it makes things a little bit more fun for those of you that play some of these songs that are super repetitive over and over and over. You're playing the same part. How do you spice it up a little bit, and how do you get more out of your playing while also understanding the neck maybe a little bit better? Because I'm going to show you how to play these chord voicings in block smaller triads all over the neck, because that's the theme of the intro. So let's roll the tape on the first about 2 minutes of this recording so you can see how I approach it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference a lot of the things that I'm doing to show you what my approach is. Let's roll that tape. Well, that's about the first 2 minutes of this song. You can tell that it kind of, other than I excluded the solo in this one, because really primarily what we're focused on is how to get your rhythm down, how to be able to play these chords kind of all over the neck, so you can work with timbres and different color choices to these chords. Keep in mind, a lot of these chords are kind of abbreviated, but I'm going to show you a variety of ways to just spice it up just a little bit. Also, if you notice, there are some parts that are not on the recording. Well, when you're a Broadway player, you're going to do things like this. You're going to improv a lot. You're going to flavor things maybe a little bit different, sometimes too much. And also, keep in mind, the format that you're kind of seeing this in is a guitar, drums, bass, and vocals. Who's also playing, you can probably hear a little bit of rhythm on that as well. So the setting also the orchestration, if you will, changes, because a lot of times you may be playing with a steel, you may be playing with a fiddle. For this particular example, we're covering, you as a guitar player have to cover all the parts. How do you do that? How do you get more mileage out of it? How do you make things sound as full as possible while getting a little bit of licks in, so to speak? So obviously there's some fills that are not on the recording, okay? So you're using that as a baseline, the recording, and kind of jumping off from that and kind of just bouncing around within these 3 chords. What are these chords? Let's take a look at the intro. So what you're doing is this drone G note, open G string the entire time. If you notice, I'm also I have a 4-way position on this, but basically I would go with a more warm sound. I wouldn't go bridge right away. I'd do something like this. You get these open voicings. So what are they? So you're playing a G, this, and then just bringing it down, because the chords are G, D, C, D. Almost, I think, the entire song. So it should be pretty simple. So this is a great example of how to make things a little bit more interesting for the listener and for the player. I think it's a little bit more for the player. So we've got this open G note throughout. So you're just doing these voicings, G, D, C, and you can pick all of them. I think that would sound the best, because really it's kind of like Sweet Child of Mine, if you've ever played that song, because you're doing this drone thing. So you're doing that pretty much throughout, but the melody is coming from the bass, and you'll hear that in the recording. But basically, I think that you can hear all the parts quite well. I have the vocals in the monitor as well, so at least you have a reference. A lot of times I like to have a lot of me and a lot less of everything else. So we've got this chord voicing with this open G string throughout. How can we make it more interesting? If you notice, I bounce around quite a bit, and what I'm doing is I'm taking different voicings around the neck, almost in that same grouping of 3. Notice 3. This is a big component to my playing that I like to do a lot, is I like to divide the guitar neck into 3 strings at a time, because you have pick, middle, and ring finger. And in this case, I'm actually picking them all. But if you notice, in latter portions, I'm doing things different on the verses and the choruses. And then I'm putting a little something that I borrow from the solo right before the chorus. So I'm trying to tie in the theme of what's going on in the song. So you're using that as your guide map, but what you're doing is you're just kind of branching off a little bit. Here's our chord voicings for the top. We already got that down. Great. Wonderful. So what else can you do? Well, if you notice, I'm in a different range. I go during one of the verses, I may do an... So I'm just taking this caged shape, or this C shape for the G chord starting up here at the 10th fret, and I'm doing it in this box voicing. I mean, how easy is that? It's the same chord voicing, you just don't have the G drone note. Say that 5 times fast. But if you wanted to, you could do something like this. That's what it would sound like. Has a little bit of a different vibe to it. So I've got this, and notice that I'm kind of flicking on that. A lot of it's just the small little nuance that you put into that playing. You don't have to like reinvent the wheel when it comes to some of these just different box patterns that you're kind of playing in. So you've got this, and you can flick it. And if you notice, I'm also going up here. So that's a secondary box. So that's 2 different areas that you got. Notice it just sounds slightly different, because those notes are being stacked and represented just a little bit different. So all you're doing is you're taking these voicings, and this one I'm taking a D shape, And then I'm going to just these 3 notes. So I'm taking the theme from the top and I'm just rolling with it. And you can do it with 2 fingers there. You're doing the upper structure to all these. And you can do that as well. Here's what I like to do for stuff, and it helps me timeline and map things out a lot better, is I try to do something maybe a little bit different and try to have it structured so I know, like, okay, the intro is this with the drone note. Okay, over the verse, I might do this. And then for the chorus, I may do something a little bit beefier. And if you notice, I start to put in fills. Okay, so you've got 3 different patterns for that. And if you wanted to go high, here's a 4th pattern. And here's where it really starts the wheels start really turning, is you can integrate going in and out of each of those voicings. And in the recording, I got real fancy and I switched real quick to the bridge pickup. Did a little pedal steel pluck there, so it's just taking it 12 frets above. So I'm integrating, I'm going in and out of all these different shifting positions. So that's one option for your rhythm playing. And then also taking that, because what I'm taking this little fill, you can do that if you want, but honestly, that gets a little bit tricky. I'm glad I landed it. And those are all things that you have to do when you're playing live. You have to decide, how complex do I want to make this? Because sometimes you can get lost, and if you're the only guitar player, it's really going to show. Kind of on an island for that. So let's also talk about fills, and how, now that we've got these different triads that we're kind of messing with, what can we do to make that more interesting? Let it be noted, very important, that you're in G. What are the notes in G? G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and then it repeats. It's total diatonic. Do not start putting flat 7s in there. It's going to sound very bad. It doesn't work. You have to play diatonic, meaning that F sharp is a very important note. So, you're just playing in the key of. So now that we have that mapped out and you start kind of messing with all these shapes, that if you've worked through it, that's great. If not too big of a deal. But also, this is where your fills come into play. So while the singer is singing, you've got your rhythm stuff, and you can arpeggiate stuff too. If you were just in this lower register, this would be another option. I like doing stuff like that just because it creates a little bit more, there's a little bit more going on instead of, I mean, that's something that if somebody's playing acoustic, they're going to cover that. Don't even worry about simplified stuff like that. Sometimes less is more, sometimes more is better. I guess that's the Broadway way of doing things. Now let's go to the last point that I want to cover, which is basically taking all those voicings and now connecting them. This is a huge component to my playing. What is it? You're taking these 3-note voicings and now you're connecting them, not just to the chords, but you're doing little fills in between. You're playing rhythm and fills. This is where the complexity can get a little bit tricky. So you've got that groove. You know the song. We all know the song. It's been a classic for over 30 years. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to treat it with kid gloves, but also we're going to do a couple of things, maybe dancing around that melody a little bit. So you saw kind of when I was doing you have to connect them, and it takes a while, but once you get that, your only note choices are going to be in the key of G, and all those note choices, you just got to maybe hit 1 or 2 notes in between that. So you've got to hit the chord change, and then you've got to be able to play those notes in between. So it takes a little bit of while, but if you work with your G major scale, or you already know that, start trying to connect those chords, and what you're going to be able to get are some nice little counter melodies and some little things to spice up that playing. Now, don't go nuts with it. I think in the latter portion, which I'm not going to show in this video, I get a little bit crazier, but you can stretch it out as much as you want. This is what makes music fun when you have to play it live a million times, like this guy. And what that does is it creates a timeline. One alternate voicing that I didn't show you that just came to mind, which I like a lot too, is I do like on verse 2, I think I did this choppy thing. Now I went to the bridge there. So now you're working with timbre, you're working with the rhythm, you're giving that treatment, and now you're doing these fills in between. And sometimes I'll even take the pick out and go. That's a great little rhythm that just provides a very nice bed for the singer to sing. And that one, I don't think I did anything fancy in it, but you can just go all over the place. If I'm back on this, and that part right there is just some sort of arpeggio on C. It's borrowing from the solo. Once again, this lesson is more about rhythm, fills, playing all these different box patterns that I really like. Triads, think in groupings of 3. I like the stuff that's typically on the D, G, and B string or higher, but you could also do if you wanted something lower, but you've got the bass going on, and there's a pretty busy bass line on that. So the idea is it's gas and brake on this, is decide how much do you want to bite off, and also like how much do you think that you can really execute. If you notice, there's some stuff that isn't in the recording, but you're also doing the recording justice. It's a great template for when you're treating another song. So you can do the exact same thing, and that obviously everything else changes, but the template essentially is the same, is where you give the recording justice, you find different ways to make it interesting, to bounce around a little bit. You're playing rhythm because I got nobody else really to kind of cover those things, and rhythm is first and foremost. The rest of the stuff is the icing on the cake. So you need to work on the icing to that cake. It's just a matter of what you decide to do, and I think this is a great little lesson on just being able to play rhythm, function in a band, and also have a little bit of fun with a song that you may have to play a lot all the time. A working musician on the weekend is going to play this. If you're playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you will be playing it all 3 days, guaranteed, because it's a classic. So hopefully that worked out for you. And if there are some things to work on, just work on your transitions, then put in the fills and decide how much you want to do. It's a fun song to play on, and that should have been a Cowboy. And I'm Matthew Lee.